So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like or post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. This is Jason Shields, and I'm Big.
And I'm like, God bless, and then I'm the tiny one.
Mrs. Giggly, what's up?
We are upgrading ourselves. 2025 is a year of upgrades.
Woo.
And now it's not just internal upgrades, but visual upgrades. That sounds like we're going to take plastic surgeries.
Yeah. We're not visually upgrading ourselves other than just being sparkly.
We're trying to make, for instance, this podcast even better.
Yes.
We're trying to get better visuals. This is not what we do for a living. We speak for a living, but we don't necessarily
do AV. Audio-visual stuff, yes.
So right now we're a little bit crammed in our podcast studio and just looking at your knees.
Yeah, my knees are the table, the knees, they're one right now.
Yeah, it's annoying my knee. I'm like, that's irritating. I'm like, looking over at you, I'm like, I shouldn't complain because I'm short.
Yeah.
Yeah, much larger and longer legs.
I'm kind of sitting here kind of folded a little bit.
Yes. We will get better at it.
But we will suffer for the podcast.
We will do whatever that's necessary. So
yeah.
So that's kind of we're taking step up. We're stepping up.
Yep.
In 2025 with a lot of stuff. This is this will hopefully over time in 2025 have even better visuals.
Yep.
And have better quality of videos. So we have a lot of work that we hope that we will be able to do. We're also building community in 2025. That's we had a wonderful meeting last weekend. You, me, and Siv.
Yep.
And
deep dive meditation and work.
Yes. In a wonderful hotel, so we could actually do this for. It was very, very lovely. We spent 3 days only talking about how we want the integrated human to evolve, and we have some pretty good things coming, and one of our major focus in 2025 will be of building the community.
Yes. It's going to be amazing.
And that actually brings us right into what we're going to talk about today. So for the first podcast of 2025, we're talking about purpose.
Yes. And
I was, what's it called when you think about stuff?
You're resonating around?
Yeah, well, that's very high level. If it's a kid is doing it, it's...
Imagining?
Okay. I'm trying to find a fun word. I can't find it right now. But I was debating in my head before Christmas.
Yeah. Playing badminton with a concept.
Exactly. That was more of a fun word I was looking for. About purpose. Mm-hmm. Like I said, now one of the, not necessarily just purpose, but one of the things we want to focus on for 2025 is community, and we have steps we want to implement to build that community.
Yes.
And before Christmas, I was talking a lot about thinking a lot about purpose and how important is purpose.
Yeah.
How important is it? I think if you ask anyone out in the street, so what's your purpose? Not necessarily that easy. Or if you train, what's the purpose of your training? Or do you just train? I noticed myself be an athlete that, especially before when I was competing, to have a purpose was really important because you had a competition. It kind of gave you some drive. But when I stopped competing, I really had to redefine why I was training.
All right.
So the question today is, how important is purpose?
Are you ready? Because I'm
taking my cup of tea now because it's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, we're gonna unleash the purpose beast.
The purpose beast.
Yes. Now, in your life, you either need a mission or a need.
what's a mission and what's a need.
There you go. So I had this conversation with one of my wonderful friends and mentors. He has come to a place in his life where he has wealth and he has enough health and he doesn't have to work, and he's older, so he doesn't want to work either. He can sleep as long as he wants. He can eat as much as he likes. He can travel anywhere he wants. Think about that. So if you all are out there in podcast land, raise your hand if you'd like a little piece of that. Yo! Yes.
But also dash of purpose.
Yes, but this is the point, because it's very difficult to motivate yourself to do anything uncomfortable when you don't have to. You're not burning. Your house is not burning. You don't have a mission. And you're like, well, what about purpose, Jason? Yeah, but if you have enough money, you can travel, you can do what you want, you can eat what you want. It's not that exciting anymore, is it? It's not special when you can eat cake every day. It's not special when you can sleep in every day. It's only great when you can sleep in when you haven't been able to get enough sleep.
Contrasts.
You have to have polarity and contrast in this world. Exactly. That's why it exists. Mm-hmm. Learning how to handle that shit is very important. Now, when you stop being a slave to polarity, this is important. So take out your little alchemic notebooks. When you stop being a slave to polarity, you must have a mission. And you're like, well, why? I don't understand that. Well, because once you realize that when you don't get enough sleep, it's going to be amazing to get some sleep. When you're hungry, food tastes better. When you've eaten too much, you don't want to eat. It doesn't taste good. All of these contrasts, when you're constantly being thrown back and forth between contrast, being rich and being poor and all this stuff, it gives you a need. It gives you a reason. But when you're outside of that, the mission shows up. If you think that becoming enlightened is just going beyond polarity, which it is, and going on beyond needs, which it is, if you don't find a mission, I'm one with the universe. I am totality. I've given up my humanness because I'm just a field of all possibilities. I'm bliss. I'm total love. So what direction do you move? You end up sitting on top of a mountaintop because you don't need anything, you don't need anybody, you have no
Then
needs.
we move to Himalaya.
Yeah, exactly. But then,
or Ubud? No.
Yeah.
Bud. What's
what?
the country name said? Bud. The country? No, we're talking about the country where they're so difficult to get into. Bhutan.
Yes.
We moved to Bhutan. That's what we did.
We can move to Bhutan, yeah. Pay like $100 in visas every day to be there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sit on a rock.
And
meditate.
But that's the whole point, that the idea of being this master yogi sitting on a rock somewhere, it's because you reach a state when you're beyond, in the Vedas, they call beyond the three gunas. The known, the knower, and the process of knowing. You go beyond polarity. You go beyond that, and you become unity, which is amazing, but it doesn't give you a direction. And you're like, yeah, but whatever arises. Yeah, but if you're smart, you step outside of all the suffering, and you take a step away, and then you sit on a rock somewhere. Or you become a Mother Teresa, or Amritanandamayi, which is like the hugging saint called Amachi. You can become a person who shares this unity and shares this love. That's why the integrated human is doing what it's doing. To share these tastes of unconditional love, and also being an action yogi, being able to take that unity back into the world, experiencing this polarity and playing and riding the wave, surfing the wave of polarity, so that you can enjoy, you can feel the speed of life, you can enjoy the taste of victory and still be whole. it's pretty amazing, right? So my friend went to Tony Robbins and it's like super rah. You come back like
high as a kite
you
on
come,
life.
yes,
And
high as a kite.
I think it's the biggest motivational event ever.
Exactly.
I would like. Jason already have mentioned 2 things on my bucket list, which is the Hugging Saint and Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And I told you yesterday the Hugging Saint because words can't describe that. And Tony, I just want to know what that is because.
Yeah, you hear about it a lot.
You hear about it, and I laugh, and I'm like, I need to experience that. I want to know what that is.
Yeah, basically, going to him is like putting on gold sunglasses while you're screaming, fuck yeah, and you squeeze your adrenal glands with both your hands.
I want to do that once.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, that I can put words on.
Yeah.
But with Amma, just words can't describe that.
Yeah, no. She's
different.
Incredible. Yeah, she's different. But this whole thing that, he went to Tony Robbins and he comes back and it's really hard to live in that elevated state because the channel like we have with the flow state continuum, the channel that you create from your higher self and your higher goals and ambitions down to the actions in your everyday life is challenged when you come back to your everyday life because I come back and I'm not a smoker. But you come back to your house and there you've hidden smokes everywhere in your house just in case you don't have a pack. You have one in the kitchen and one next to your chair, and then one next to the TV, and you have one in your car.
I know your patterns because with every coffee cup you have a smoke.
You have your smoke, and
in the office you go out to have the break with the familiar people.
Exactly. So for you to come back, I'm in my higher state and I'm unbounded, and yeah, you actually are bounded because you have a body and you have to get up and go to work. Well, in my friend's case, he doesn't have to, but most people have to work. And I'm very loving, except for that fucker that cut you off in traffic and almost killed your kids there in the back of the car, and you don't love him suddenly. And then all of these things that you do when you're super high and you're feeling super unbounded, all of these statements about your universal self actually don't work in your everyday life that's living in polarity, because those infinite statements don't work in a finite situation until you realize that finite means limited, but infinite, when you found the infinite in the finite, then you know you're connected to your flow state. And you can play that backwards.
And forwards.
And forwards.
And hear it a couple of times.
Exactly. Infinite means in the finite you find your infinite self, but you can't believe that you're infinite and try to make it work. You have to find it in your everyday life. You have to connect your higher self and your lower self, your universal consciousness, with your action, because it's only then that you have purpose, because then you have a mission from the highest self expressing itself through your lower self. Okay? So this sounds really strange, but let me give you some examples. So anyway, you can get up whenever you want. The paradox is, do you think my friend sleeps in?
No.
He gets up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Because he doesn't exhaust himself during the day because he feels exhausted, right? Because he's not really using himself in a way, and you kind of get tired of, kind of going from one thing to the other and burning your dopamine out on your mobile devices. So he gets up early and his body's kind of ready to go, and so okay. So
but where does he go?
Exactly. Where does he go? Because he has no major mission. He has no major need. As soon as it becomes uncomfortable, I'll start going for walks every morning until it starts to rain, and you're like, fuck it, I don't really want to go for a walk. And he has no need to push through the discomfort.
It's not like he's competing in a walking marathon.
Exactly. Now, if he had given himself a need or a goal or a mission that I'm going to, raise money for kids by walking marathons, and every marathon I walk, it's going to, I'm going to ask people to donate money to me, and I'm going to get that, and kids are going to eat food. Now, that's a mission.
That's a mission.
So having a mission,
has to do with what you would like to see from yourself in this world. Okay? So anyway, he goes to Tony Robbins. He gets super high, his adrenal glands are pumping, and he's feeling super expanded. So he starts writing down all of these things about, how he wants to move in the world, which is beautiful. But there's no reason. There's no accountability factor.
I can want a lot.
Yes.
But that's just a want.
Exactly.
That's why we've had that a couple of times when people are coming. It's like, yeah, I really want to look at this now, and I always said, okay, when we come home, wait 2 weeks and come and say the same.
Exactly.
If you then want it, we'll look at it.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm that hard is that, well, first of all, if we're gonna commit time and resources, and they're gonna commit time and resources, they really have to want it. They really have to have that mission and goal with it. And very seldom they come back.
Yeah.
And the reason is because, again, when they hit that, they want that in that state.
Yes.
But when they come home and their everyday life hit, and
they're not in that state
they're
anymore.
not as energized or desperate.
Exactly.
Then when they become sort of neutral.
Yeah, because their life is comfortable.
Yeah, they don't see the need anymore.
Exactly.
And then I know that then they're not ready, because you need to want this in every state. The state can't rock your goal or mission.
It has to become a part of the channel that you're making in your flow state. It has to become a thing that defines the flow of your energy. And that's the thing.
They want a direction.
Yes.
Of course.
Exactly. Of course. The direction of your flow is of course. And the things you do in that flow are of course. Because it is of
course.
Of the course. Of course. Right? So, and then you're asking me, yeah, but what if I live in the West and I don't really have like this whole, I'm running from tigers kind of need, or I'm not starving every day. I actually get to eat once a day, and I'm actually able to sleep without, people harassing me. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen that have small kids in the house. Then you're being harassed. So if I'm relatively comfortable, what do I need? Well, then you're at the top of Maslow's pyramid of needs.
Exactly.
Which means the need is not there, but the mission is, because the top is philosophical development, and you have to decide what your mission is going to be. And you're going to ask me, yeah, but why is not a purpose enough? Because purpose doesn't give you context, and the reason why you need context.
So if you describe the difference between purpose and mission.
Purpose is a reason to do a thing. Mission is a reason to do many things. So let's say
it's not an event thinking. It's process thinking.
Exactly.
Because a mission will no matter what, you will almost never reach it. It has nothing about. It's nothing to reach.
Exactly.
It's just why you're here and your direction, your course that you want to take. Say it's ending world hunger as just an example, because everybody heard about it at least. Ending world hunger, while becoming a millionaire is event thinking. Yeah. Because what do you do then?
Yeah, you become a multimillionaire, and then what then? Well, you become a billionaire, and then you become a multimillionaire.
And then you don't have any.
It's like
where's the purpose anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's paying. I'm gonna pay down the house.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna get my kids to college. What do you do when you've done that?
Yeah.
Because then are you gonna?
Then you're done with your purpose. My purpose was to get my kids through college.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then what's your mission for your life? Like, what's your mission?
Exactly.
It's kind of like, okay, now tell me. Now I'm gonna name some things.
Okay.
And you tell me whether it's a purpose or a mission.
Oh.
Yes. Finally, I get to be a teacher.
Yeah, podcast.
Good.
I don't edit these, so I'm gonna get them right.
So yes.
Okay. Mission, purpose.
Yeah. Mission or purpose? Become a world champion.
Purpose.
Yes. Be a fantastic parent.
Mission?
Yes, it's a mission because it doesn't end. I had an old lady come to me, and she finally her neck was all wrecked, and then suddenly her neck was way better. And I asked her, so, Ragna, what's going on here? You feel so much better in your neck. And she's like, oh, she's like up in her 90s, like late 90s. She's like, oh, my tiny, my young little daughter, my itsy bitsy little daughter, she finally made her way to the old person's home. Now I know it's going to be fine with her. And I'm like, you still think of her as your tiny young little daughter when she's like in her late 70s and sick and she's in the old people's home? But now you know it's going to be okay. You never stop being a mom or a dad, right? So it's a mission. It's something that's going to follow you through your whole life no matter what. Now, can it change? Of course. But a purpose is more of an event. It's a thing. I want to become a millionaire. What is that?
Purpose.
Exactly. But I want to be financially free.
Mission.
Yes. Completely different. You see, so it has to do with, and most people, even when we've given these examples, will not be able to tell the difference between those two things. But they make a huge, huge difference in your life. Because when bad shit happens,
you still have mission.
You still have your mission. You blew your knee out.
Still have a mission.
You still have a mission.
But you may not become
the world champion.
Or win Birkebeinerløpet, which is a skiing thing.
Exactly. That's it. And that's one of the problems with people who, but what about my career, Jason? Is that it? No, your career is still a time period in your life. Unless you're going to work the rest of your life until you drop. Then it's different. I'm a cyclist. Okay, that's a thing.
It's an identity.
It's an identity, but it's not necessarily a mission. So I would recommend that you go deep into the box and figure it out. So my mentor friend, and just because you're a mentor doesn't mean that you're completely 100% finished developing, because we're never, I'm an evolver. That's my mission, right? And to be a teacher and a mentor, that's my missions, and I hope to do that until I drop, and maybe even after. Spooky spook.
No psychopomp on you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Nope. You want me around because I'm going to be good. I'm going to be a good ghost. So.
I'm going to take my sugar away. You're going to why does the sugar box always move?
Yeah.
Is Jason telling you stop that?
Stop it.
It's enough sugar.
Exactly. But my friend mentor, he's now doing coaching in the Tony Robbins arena, which is very cool. And I support that. But they're going to go through his values, but his values are based on the highest possible state that he was able to achieve at the event. So when you look at those things, you go, okay, being infinitely generous. Do you really want to be infinitely generous, or do you sometimes need to set a limit on people?
I would really like not to be that.
Yeah.
Right? I just feel, that's going to lead to a burnout.
Yes.
And anger.
Yeah.
And being super disappointed with other ones because you're giving so much, and how can they repay that?
Yeah. And that's the thing. People don't understand that if you overgive, what happens is there's a dynamic with that then often the people that you overgive to will actually take revenge on you because you get so out of weight with them.
It's out of balance. And even though you've given and given and given, then at some point it becomes too heavy for them to participate in. You can buy someone a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or if you say, I'm providing you with beans for the rest of your life, at one point they get angry at you.
Yeah. Oh,
and they it's very, I've seen it multiple times. It's very fascinating because it becomes so out of balance that the one that receives can't receive anymore and feel so uncomfortable with being given so much that you have to turn it because your cup is full.
Yeah, exactly. You
can't receive more, which sounds
Yeah, and then they start to disrespect the giver.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're thinking, that's not true, Jason. Actually, if you look at the research on people who win lotteries, now we're going to get back to something interesting. You look at the research for people who win lotteries. regardless of the amount of money that they actually win. They can be winning like $500 million. We're talking about so much money that most of us couldn't imagine. Can't even count that high for reals. After 5 years, they're broke, they're miserable, they have hardly any friends and family that talk to them. It's 90% of people. And you're like, oh, I wouldn't be part of that. If you're not, like, okay, then you're in that 10% that wouldn't be like that. But 90% of people are broke and miserable and have no friends and their family doesn't talk to them. And why? Because you have all this money, way more money than you need, right? But then you're like, okay, you get a house, you get a house, you get a house, you get a house. So when you give people a house, they stop providing for themselves because if you can give them a house,
You take away their need.
You take away their need. Thank you very much.
What's it called? Enabling?
You enable them, you take away their need, and then they have no what? They have no direction and no energy to do anything. So they end up basically becoming completely frozen in their life, and they have nothing to do but
complain to you.
Complain to and about you, because they're probably going to try to figure out something they need, and then they're going to need what? More
money from you.
More money from you, and you better give it to them from their point of view, because you gave me a house, you better give me whatever else I want. And if you don't, who's the bad person?
Oh, you are the one that provided to begin with.
Yeah. And there are very few exceptions to this rule. Like maybe if you buy a house for your mom or something like that, because there's such an established caregiving role from your mom and dad or whatever. You buy them a car or whatever.
Yeah, but also then if it's that way around, the kid giving that to their parents, there've been so much, and this is just kind of from what I've been seeing, then there's been so much build and so much not suffering, not that word, so much like if the parents have been given so much over such a long time. What's the name? What's the word? You've been not surrendering, sacrificing. You've been sacrificing for such a long time together in some way, because they got you to school. They've been, if you're an entrepreneur, like I can say with my parents, like they are watching my dog. They are this today. My dad called me and said, "Do you want to have dinner?" I said, "Yes, please." Because we have the clinic, we have integrated human, we're making the podcast. I need to walk the dog, and then I'm gonna go back and we're gonna have training for the club. I'm like, and I have food somewhere in here, and I have a system for it. But man, it's good to get a home cooked warm meal. Yeah. So they are helping me with they have a lot of sacrifices in washing my dog. They warm the house. We live kind of in a generational household, so we live in the basement, so they can warm it up. My dad was on a fire, so it's warm. But it's been they've been sacrificing so I can grow. Yes. So it will be natural for me when I get to a certain point that I can start giving some back, because they have built me. Absolutely. But when it's the parents giving, it's often enabling, because it's us as children. We have to learn to stand on our own, because one day they'll be gone. Yeah, and you have to learn how to handle life yourself. Because what if I love my mom and dad, but really my dad is joking that he's going to be here till he's 120. God hope not. Yeah. Sorry, Dad. He listens to this podcast. Don't be for his sake. Let me have some playtime. Yeah. But how do I? If they were to be gone, how do I stand then? Yeah. And I will still be fine. Yes. Because it's a natural part. Yeah. But if the parents does it, give the house, give the car, give everything, what happens when they're not there? Yeah. Then everything falls, and then who's going to take care? And you haven't developed the tools to survive. Like we talk about, you have to become that person that has the car, that has the money, that has are living the life of travel. Yes, you must become a millionaire before you get millions, and that's why earning the money is much better than inheriting the money. Earning the money is much better than being a trust fund baby, because then you know how to handle money. You have become the person who has the skills and the
behavior to have that thing.
And then the mission comes on top, so that
Yes.
when you have that things, you still work in society. You're still a good contributor, and your life doesn't go to shit.
Exactly. Because
you don't stop to self-sabotage.
Exactly. And how many people, now this is a very good question to check your life, okay? How many people, and you have to be really honest with yourself right now because this is important. How many people would continue going to work every single day if they got $1 billion? I would.
I love my job.
And it's only when your mission is strong enough that you would go to work anyway that you're ready to receive the money. If anything in your life would change if you got millions of dollars, change it now. Because if you're not doing it, you're not living.
Yeah, that's a hard statement.
then you know you need to go to a flow state continuum workshop so that you can work on yourself, so you can become an alchemist. You can deep dive into yourself and you can transform the things inside you that you need to change in order to get the best possible life.
Because then your course that your life is on and what you truly want is not aligned.
That's it. So if you are in a situation where, you have no needs, then you have to have a mission. So it's either a mission or need. Now, can you trick yourself into needing something?
Well, you have seen multiple times, done it myself also, of course, that you have it so good, so you need to create some storm.
Yes.
Some storm around you.
Yes.
Because then you get the need to, I don't know, it can be you in super shape, so you just stop training.
Yeah.
So you have to get in shape again, or it's...
Because getting in shape feels fucking great.
Being in shape is just hard.
Being in shape, if you have never been in top Olympic level shape like we have, it's just normal. You don't feel great with it.
It's just hard to keep it.
It's just hard.
Because you can't get much better, and it's just a downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's you're having it so stable without you. There's the water is still, so you create emotionally storms around you. You create not discomfort. Words are difficult today. This disharmony with friends. So you have an argument.
# start some shit.
Start some shit.
And you may not do that consciously.
Oh no, you don't do this consciously. When we started a couple of years, it was 6 years ago now. I was so butthurt every time we just said stuff like that. Because I'm like, do you really think I would do this on purpose? No, you don't. It's subconscious patterns. Yes. It's the nature in you. You're not doing it on purpose. Mm-hmm. It's just if you haven't found moksha, if you haven't found samadhi, if you haven't found these places, you have to, what you said started in the beginning, you have to live in the world of polarities. So when you don't have them, you're gonna create them.
Yes.
If not, you are freaking out. It's so boring.
It's insane.
It's too boring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna create it. You're not a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
It's your whole system is wired like that.
Yes, exactly.
You to create polarity.
Yes, that's right.
So just come and join us. You don't have to live like that because it's not that comfortable. I've done it.
Yeah.
This is much better.
Yes, it's so much better. And that's the whole process. So finding a mission is essential, and it's part of understanding yourself. Because I am put here to be the best possible Jason I possibly can be, meaning giving back from the talents and the abilities that I have in a constellation that I choose. And that's freedom. But if I'm trying to be Marit, even though I think she's a freaking amazing human being, but if I try to be her, I'm going to suck. Because she's way better.
Fit.
I wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit. It would be really awkward trying to get dressed in the morning, right?
Very awkward.
Those shoes, man, those pants, just not going on this body.
Oh, no.
But that's my whole point. It's like you have to be able to know yourself enough. And that is actually a challenge. And is your mission large enough to actually follow you through the changes and evolutions that you will make. Are you able to evolve as a person in your mission? If you are, then it's the right mission.
Get more mission.
Mission. So, I'm just going to say, if you work on yourself, you need to listen to this podcast several times, because this was the shiz nizzle. This was important. Purpose.
Mission and need.
Yes, that's it. Mission and need. So remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.